Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So in this time we will presentation about Alfred Marshal and Neoclassical Economics by Muhammad Akmal Ramadan and my friend Muhammad Zidan Abdul Rahman. Who is Alfred Marshal? Alfred Marshal is a biggest ilmuwan and analyst economics and a key figure in the development of neoclassical economics. He is also author of the influential books of the Principle of Economics 1890, which the foundation for modern economic thought. Major contribution introduced concepts like elasticity of demand, cost of production, and market equilibrium analysis. Introduction to Neoclassical Economics. Neoclassical economics emerged in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, focused on analyzing the behavior of consumer and producer, established the supply and demand model to determine prices in the market, and emphasized marginalism and rational decision-making by individuals. The principle of economics, in this book, there are a key book to format the basic for modern microeconomic theory. In this book, there are introduced several core economic concepts, such as there are four. First, demand and supply, and about elasticity and progression cost, and the last, profit and competition. Key concept in the neoclassical economics, there are a lot of key concept in neoclassical economics. And there are three parts. First part is law of demand and supply. There are demand decreases as price increases. We call this as ceteris paribus, and supply increases as price increases. And two, marginalism. Marginalism is economics decision are based on marginal benefit and marginal cost. And market equilibrium. Market equilibrium is the point where the quantity demand equals the quantity supplied. And next, about elasticity theory. Elasticity theory, there are price elasticity of demand, measure how sensitive demand is to price change. If elasticity more than one, demand is elastic, more responsive. But if elasticity less than one, demand is inelastic, less responsive.
So now we will talk about production cost and cost theory. So what is the production cost? The production cost is the cost that used to produce goods or the output. We have two kind of cost. We have variable cost and fixed cost. So the fixed cost means by the cost that does not change, but actually it changes in the longer run. For example, the cost of the house or the building rent, it's normally fixed, but in the long run it can change. But the variable cost it changes like monthly. It can be changed. If the firm will develop, the variable cost will change. And also we have the total cost. The total cost is the sum of variable cost and fixed cost. So how Alfred Marshall contributed to this? Alfred Marshall he worked on the cost of theory or the cost theory by explaining how firms decide to produce, when should they stop producing or when should they continue producing according to the cost based on the cost. And we have the marginal cost. The marginal cost is the cost of producing one more unit. So the cost of producing one more unit, that's what we call it the marginal cost. After that, we have the equilibrium in perfect conversion. So let's talk firstly about the perfect conversion. The perfect conversion is a market with many buyers and sellers. Market with many buyers and sellers. So in this market, those buyers and sellers are selling the same good, and there is no barrier to entry. So there is no barrier to entry. Also, in this market, firms are price taker, not price maker. So in this perfect competition, firms are price taker, not maker. So the price subject to the supply and demand. And let's talk now about the equilibrium. What is the equilibrium? We mean by the equilibrium is the point that when supply equals demand. So when supply equals demand, we mean that the equilibrium point. So Alfred Marshall contributed to this by introducing or developing the supply and demand curve. So the supply and demand curve show us when like the supply exceeds demand or demand exceeds supply, and when we know that the supply and demand are the equilibrium point. So Alfred Marshall worked on this. Here, like we know how the equilibrium in perfect competition related to Alfred Marshall. After that, we have the profit. So what is the profit? The profit is the that uh, amount of money when we subtract the cost from the revenue. So when we subtract the cost from the revenue, this is profit. For example, a company is making revenue by 100,000, and the cost is 80,000. So the revenue is 20,000. 100,000 minus 80,000 is 20,000. So 20,000, that one is the profit. But we have two kinds of profit. We have economic profit and we have accounting profit. So the economic profit is the revenue minus the cost, but not the normal cost, the explicit cost and the implicit cost. We have the explicit cost and the implicit cost. So the explicit cost is the what you like the money that you pay the money that you use to buy things. This is the explicit cost when you use money, but the implicit cost we mean by the opportunity cost of doing something, the opportunity cost instead of doing something. So this is the implicit cost. So the economic profit includes explicit and implicit cost, but the accounting profit or the normal profit is the it excludes the implicit cost, but it focuses on the explicit cost. So in the normal profit, it it's normally more than the economic profit. So the normal profit is more than economic profit, but because it excludes the implicit cost. So Alfred Marshall worked on this by saying like the a firm in the long run will make normal profit. So he proved that the firm in the long run will make normal profit. After that, we go to legacy and influence of Alfred Marshall. So Alfred Marshall, he has influenced on shaping modern economic how, because previously we had the economic was related to policy. But when Alfred Marshall wrote the book of the book of the principle of economics at that time, and he also like introduced or also focused on consumer behaviors, microeconomics. He worked on microeconomics more. When he worked on microeconomics more, he focused on individuals, firms, their behaviors, decisions. So that's how he influenced on the modern economy, because now those kind of things became central to the modern economic. And also he worked on the economic theory by working on the equilibrium theory, elasticity, cost theory, and this kind of theory. He developed this kind of thing by making them central in the modern economy. And also he influenced on public policy. Public policy. How? By talking or by studying the regulation of the market, or by developing or focusing on the welfare of the welfare being of the country. So he focused on this kind of thing, how we understand or how we know this country its economic is good, by focusing on the welfare of people, their education, their quality of education, quality of health, quality of everything. And that's how Alfred Marshall influenced the modern economic. So in conclusion, Alfred Marshal was a pioneer in shaping modern economic theory through his book, The Principle of Economics, as we explained previously, how his uh, book, like the Principles of Economic, made a big jump in the modern economy. And the neoclassical economics focuses on market efficiency and the equilibrium between supply and demand. And also he worked on concepts like elasticity, production cost, and marginalism remain central in the economic analysis today. So that was all about uh, Alfred Marshall and how relating him to this point. I hope it's understandable and thank you so much. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.